Hello Home Slices, it's Kiera with Home Slice Adulting coming to you with my review for Season 10, the reunion part 2 of Real Housewives of Atlanta. This, just from looking at my notes, is going to be a long review, so let's just go ahead and get into this. So like I said last week, I was in a bit of a rush, so I did not talk about any of the fashion choices. So let's get started with the fashion choices on this review. For Kenya, I feel like the yellow is a beautiful color on her skin tone, but I feel like the dress came off boring, particularly because she had a boring hairstyle. There was nothing special about Kenya's hair that could really set off the look for her. Cynthia had a beautiful dress that was larger than life. I really liked it. I was not a fan of the hair. I don't think there was anything wrong with the idea of having a side ponytail, but considering how small Cynthia's head is and how big the ponytail was, it felt like it was positioned weird, that it was in a weird spot. And I think if the braid had been you know, pinned up into a bun, it might have looked a little bit better. But the dress was beautiful. I really did like it. Next we have Porsha. I don't like Porsha's dress, but I like the color of the dress. My favorite color is purple. I think the purple is a beautiful color. I am not a fan of velour fabric, and that's what I didn't like about the dress. So I didn't like that. And I didn't like the fact that the dress, the collar part, made her look like Maleficent from Sleeping Beauty. I didn't like that either. So I wasn't a big fan of the style of the dress. I felt like the color was beautiful. And as usual, she has like a whole bunch of bundles in her head, a whole bunch of bundles in her head, but the crown worked with the hair, so whatever. Next, we'll talk about Kim Zolciak. Her dress was very understated. The fact that she was just a friend or an enemy of the show this time around. She didn't have to go out and be all out there. Nonetheless, Kim's dress was fine. It was nothing special about it, but she was better dressed than Nene, so I'll just say that. Next we have Nene. I feel like she and Sheree tie for worst dress. Somebody said Nene looked like an ice skater, and I agree with that. I feel like the netting wasn't right, and that the tassels, everything about the dress was wrong for Nene. The color was too dark. I didn't like the dress for Nene at all. Her hair was very underwhelming, so I didn't see it for Nene's look. Next we have Kandi. I liked Kandi's dress, but it didn't seem appropriate for this type of situation. I don't know of any event that Kandi could go to and wear this dress. Maybe something like really big, like maybe the Grammys. I don't know. I felt like she was a little overdressed. The dress was a little too ornate, and it made her stand out too much from the other people. I think if she went with something that was a little bit more understated, it would have been nice. I'm not a fan of the half ponytail on Kandi. I'm kind of tired of seeing it on her, and I wish she would kind of switch it up. But moving on, Sheree looked like a literally hot mess. I know she was hot in that long sleeved silk Gucci dress or whatever. The belt was Gucci, but was the dress Gucci? Anyways, somebody said that she looked like the Pink Power Ranger. I thought that was so funny because she does. Her high ponytail was boring. Yeah, Sheree did not look good. We have Marlo. I liked the color of her dress. The dress was okay. I did like it. And I felt that it was appropriate for this type of setting. But we're back to where, oh no, we still have Eva. I hated Eva's dress. I felt like it was the most boring thing ever, but I also feel as if she might have had limited choices because she was pregnant. So, take whatever that means to you. But let's move on. We're back to where we left off when, they are talking about how Sheree never calls Kim to the carpet for her BS. So Cynthia says basically, if you're going to be the bone carrier, you need to carry bones in all directions. And Sheree is like, oh, well, you can't tell me how to do my job that I have an LLC in or whatever. And so I'm like, Sheree, if you had a real job, okay, that actually made you some money instead of, you know, collecting everybody else's bones, maybe, you know, you wouldn't have time to collect everybody else's bones. But Anyway, we see Eva, she's having contractions and she's talking to Dr. Jackie. Dr. Jackie is everybody's OBGYN if you're famous in Atlanta. So get your money, Dr. Jackie. Get your money. Okay. So next, Andy is asking Marlo about chasing Portia around the party. Marlo said it didn't look like Portia had been to the gym. And it's like, Marlo, don't even go there, okay? If Portia has nothing else, she has a body, okay? She has a great body. So don't even go there. Now, Marlo says that they both went too far, and then Portia said that she felt that Marlo was trying to egg her on in Barcelona, and that's why she doesn't see it from Marlo. I agree that Marlo was definitely trying to push Portia at that moment. That's the thing about Marlo, is that I think she says things to get a reaction out of people instead of just saying things to be conversational. They talk about the whole situation where Portia put a fan in Marlo's face and Portia really didn't care. Portia don't see it from Marlo at all, and it's like, I don't even care. And I'm like, please don't. I feel like nobody should really care about Marlo. I feel like Marlo is not good on the show. I feel like she brings a lot of negativity, and I just think that because Kim was on this season as well, that Kim's negativity overshadowed Marlo's. But moving on, criminal history comes up. Nobody cares about that. Nene said good things about Portia in Barcelona, and Portia seemed to be like almost a little choked up about it and felt very appreciative that Nene said such positive things for her, and that it gave her hope that she could restore her relationships with Nene and everybody else in the group. And I did think that that moment was very nice. Portia talks about why she didn't want to take Nene's advice about apologizing to all the girls, and once again we get into the Portia and Kandi thing, but actually something good happened this time. So Portia says that they all used the issue with Kandi as ammunition, or a silver bullet as she called it, and Cynthia tried to justify it by saying, well we were all there. Just because you witness something does not mean that you get to use it as ammunition against somebody. Again, I've said this so many times this season, nobody can call Portia to the carpet for this situation except Kandi. Just because you were there does not mean that you can use this as ammunition against Portia. Cynthia and Portia go back and forth a little bit, who cares? And the question comes up, will Portia and Kandi ever be okay again? So Kandi feels as if the apology that Portia had was very backhanded. She also feels that Portia and Kandi's arguments during the time of that accusation were very small and did not warrant Portia saying something so heinous and so bad to Kandi. And so once again, everybody is jumping all over Portia when this is just between Kandi and Portia. So like, Kenya and Cynthia, shut up. Kandi does not need your help in explaining her feelings to Portia. Portia is a big girl, and Portia had to stop them and say, let me say something to Kandi. And they all quieted down, and Portia apologized once again, and she said that, you know, whatever Kandi felt that she needed out of an apology from her, she was getting that today. She admitted that she was wrong, it was poor judgment, and that I just want this to be over with. As Kandi wanted it to be over with as well. And I was like, you know, I hope this settles everything. And right after that, Kandi says, you know what, let's end this today so we don't have to talk about it. We don't have to answer questions about it ever again. And then they shake on it. And I was like, oh, Kandi, you're growing up. Oh my gosh, that is so awesome. Like, you're not going to hold a 20-year grudge against her like you did your group mate in Escape. And to me, that was a great moment. And the only thing that I hope is that they really meant it, and that they can really move forward regardless of whether they're ever going to be close again or not, which I don't think they'll ever be that close again. But to see peace between Portia and Kandi, I think will be good for the show. Moving on, they have this little messy moment where they're behind the scenes and they're taking a break or whatever. We see Sheree carrying reunion bones to Kim about what's been going on and how everybody is kissing Nene's butt and how everybody is mad at Sheree for not calling Kim to the carpet for her crap. Now, we are all back into the reunion setting, and we talk about Nene's challenges this season. They talk about Greg's medical challenges. Apparently he is on medication and he is improving. We talk about Nene's stint on the Escape tour. They rehashed the Uber joke. I don't want to talk about that. And apparently Nene was not mad at Kandi, and they are on good terms, and they made an arrangement about them no longer throwing jabs at each other, and they're just in a better place, which is wonderful because they have always had this real oil and water type of relationship going. I feel like Marlo and Kandi have a very oil and water situation as well. Kenya says that she is surprised that Nene and Marlo are back on such good terms because how can you trust a snake? I do feel like Marlo has some snakish ways. Again, we talked about last time, Kenya accused Marlo of trying to blackmail Nene, and I find it very odd how Nene kind of glazed over that. I think that's very weird. But when Kenya said, "Marlo, you look tired," I was like, that's so funny. But Marlo decided to play the victim. I never saw that coming. Marlo says that she was hurt because Kenya keeps calling her a whore or a prostitute when there are no receipts. And it's like, there's no receipts for hoeing. You know, those things don't have a paper trail by nature, but whatever. So Kenya basically said that since Marlo can't answer questions about her work, then, you know, minds kind of wander all over the place about what your work is. And it kind of feels like every time we see you, you're with a new white man doing a real Baps kind of thing, okay? But moving on, when Andy asks Marlo, "What is your job?" She says that she dated a billionaire. If somebody asks you what your job is and you say you dated a billionaire, to me it sounds like you're hoeing. That's just my opinion, but whatever. She says that she invested well and that she has several businesses. And she said, look up Simply Marlo LLC. And I looked up Simply Marlo, and I'm going to put a screenshot of what I found. Now, if you look here, you will see a screenshot of her website. It looks like it was built by Shopify, which, you know, there's no problem with that. But it is a store that only has 3 items in it. Can you really afford the things that Marlo can afford by selling t-shirts that only have 3 different varieties? I don't really know. But if you look, I'm not sure you can see it on this particular screenshot, but there are some other tabs at the top that take you to other places. Apparently she has a foundation, a nonprofit that she has put together for young ladies who are in foster care because she grew up in foster care, which is great. I'm never going to shade anybody who's doing anything for the community, but there's nothing that lends itself when you are Googling her that says that Marlo has made a buttload of money on this particular thing or in this one area. So even Googling Simply Marlo doesn't yield many results, not in my eyes. Moving on, Portia says, in the future, if I get in an argument with somebody, I don't want them to call me a prostitute. And Kenya was like, well, you talked about me being a prostitute for 2 years. And so they have an argument going back and forth about a one-eyed African, like, who cares? Moving on. So we have Eva come up. Eva is such a beautiful girl, but I hated that dress. It was so ugly and boring. And so Andy says that he's going to help her deliver, and Eva said, you probably wouldn't even know what you're looking at down there. Everybody got a kick out of that. But if you look at Eva straight on when she's sitting down, you can barely tell she's pregnant. Like, how do you say that fabulous and pregnant? But moving on, Cynthia wants to be Candy's crush. They talked about that all season, and apparently Cynthia bought Kandi some shoes, and it was funny. It was a funny situation. Cynthia wants to dive into the lady pond. Moving forward, we have bonus footage that we did not see on the season. Apparently all the ladies wanted to do the For the D challenge, and because Kandi is the resident songwriter, she decided to write verses for everybody, and they had to guess which verse was for each person. And so I'm gonna let y'all know, I don't think I give enough credit to Kandi for being a great songwriter, because the verses that she wrote were so topical and on point. I liked it. I enjoyed it, and I think it would have been a nice thing if they would have put it in the Barcelona episodes, since a lot of that stuff was kind of filler. But everything was topical and funny. the only verse that I really didn't care for was the one that Kandi wrote for herself, and she even wrote one for Andy, and he was embarrassed by that. That was funny. But moving on, we talk about Cynthia and Will, and we rehash this, and I'm very over it. But Eva makes her case and claims that the month that Cynthia started dating Will was the same month that Eva saw him with another girl. Cynthia, I'm glad that you're taking a break from Will. Thank goodness. Don't ever not take a break from him. Don't go back, okay? Moving on, Cynthia never had sex with Will. And everybody was like, well, you defended him like that and you didn't even have sex with him. Shame on you. You didn't even get from him what you needed to get from him so you could defend him that way. But they thought that was kind of funny. So we get back into Porsha and Cynthia arguing yet again about them having issues with some of the things that Porsha said about Peter when Cynthia was married to him. Now, according to Cynthia, these issues still kind of aren't resolved. And Cynthia says that Porsha can only give Cynthia good news. Porsha brings up that Cynthia still feels like she's getting to know Porsha and how she threw the Kandi thing in Porsha's face during Barcelona. And so whatever relationship that she thought that they were repairing together kind of, you know, kind of went away a little bit when they were in Barcelona. And then Cynthia says, you know, well, I don't really know Andy even after 8 years of being on this show where he hires me. Shut up, Cynthia. But apparently, like I said, Cynthia and Will are taking some time apart. Cynthia has not met Peter's new girlfriend. I don't know what the point of that was. Andy, don't ask me about my ex-husband's new girlfriend, okay? I would have gave Andy a piece of my mind on that one. But they asked about who would be the maid of honor at Cynthia's wedding, Nene or Kenya. And Cynthia made it real clear, definitely Nene, because Kenya didn't even invite me to her wedding, okay? And Eva and Cynthia are not seeing it for each other, especially considering how Cynthia basically called Eva a liar about the whole situation with Will. But moving on, we talk a little bit more about Eva, and Eva had to make the distinction between the whole, was it the Will situation and Shamia bringing up Missy Elliott. Here's the deal. I think Eva is 100% right to have negative feelings about something that Shamia has said. I do think that Eva was going too far in assuming that Shamia was insinuating that being gay was bad. So I do think Eva went too far on that. I do not think Shamia has a problem with gay people or that she thinks being gay is bad. I think that Eva was pulling at straws on that one. But for me, I do think Eva made a good case about Shamia saying, well, how does your current man feel about you having dated, you know, Missy Elliott in the past? That was very out of line and out of place. And that's one of the reasons that I don't really see it for Shamia anymore. But the thing is would they feel differently? Because Porsha and Kandi are both friends with Shamia, and I think they both felt a certain way about Eva talking about Shamia outside of Shamia's presence. And Porsha even stood up for Shamia and said she's not here to defend herself, but I do know that she felt bad. And Eva was like, well, she should feel bad about it because that was inappropriate, essentially. And for me, I feel like Shamia would have felt the same way that Eva does if Eva asked her, how does your new husband feel about you supposedly having slept with Kandi? Because we all know that according to Phaedra, Shamia and Kandi were having sexual relations. So to me, that's the same thing, and I think Shamia would have been as offended, if not more offended, than Eva was when she asked that question. So I don't really see it for Shamia anymore. Moving on. But Eva leaves the stage because she is contracting, you know, every 10 minutes. So she needs to go, you know, take care of that baby. But Kim comes on stage, and it's unfortunate that Kim comes on the stage at the end of the episode. I was hoping that with the way things ended on the previous episode, on the part 1 of the reunion, that she would come out immediately. So this episode, I feel, is a little bit of a filler. Things only really got ramped up at the end. But anyway, Kim has her solo cup and things are about to get crazy. And so they play back some of the drama with Kim during the entire season. And I had been thinking this whole time when Sheree was wearing her dress, I was like, I have seen somebody wear that. And then they played back the elephant room scene and the outfit that Kim was wearing was very similar. It wasn't a dress. It was like a shirt and pants set, but it was all the way up here. It was long sleeved and it was pink, and I was like, that's where I saw something similar. But anyways, they talked about Kandi having clairvoyant powers, and I think that might lend itself to the fact that Kandi is such a great businesswoman. Maybe she has like a sixth sense about business or whatever, and that's what makes her so successful. Kim says that, you know, she was from a higher power, and she meant that she operated on a different frequency than Mbele. And Kenya was like, well, who's your higher power, Satan? And then she said, I sensed some clouds, and it couldn't be Sheree because Sheree doesn't have her Storm from X-Men wig on. I'm glad somebody talked about that. But moving on, Cynthia says that Sheree and Kim were talking about how if Cynthia wasn't beautiful, then they don't know what she would have done with her life, or thank goodness she was beautiful. And they replay it because it was one of those bonus footage type of things that happens on the Bravo TV website. And then Sheree under her breath says, well, I remember when I need to remember. And it's like, Sheree, shut up. I don't know if Bravo is purposely editing things to make Sheree look bad, but Sheree looks bad and she's very annoying to me on this reunion, and I feel like she has a very negative and nasty attitude. She caught an attitude with Kandi, and I'm just happy she's not coming back. I'm so happy about that. But moving on, Kim says that she didn't mean anything by saying that Cynthia was beautiful and that it was a compliment and all that kind of stuff. And Nene says that whatever elephant that she had with Sheree wasn't important. What's important is my elephant with Kim over here. And then eventually Nene and Kim get into it. Finally, the thing that we were all trying to, you know, see this particular episode. But whatever, they have a cliffhanger to keep us hanging on until next time. If you ask me, they could have just done 2 episodes and probably wrapped everything up. Yeah, the only thing that they really could have probably kept from this was the whole situation with Porsha and Kandi kind of making up, and then the whole fight with Nene, and then the whole thing would have been over with Nene and Kim. But moving on, Kim's story is all over the place when it comes to the handicap parking thing, about her taking the picture versus her being sent the picture, and Nene says that Kim is jealous, and it just gets out of hand, and Nene is very, very, very mad. We all know that as these ladies prepare for the reunion, they are watching the show as it happens. So the more that they watch the show, the more angry they get and the more bones that they have to pick at the reunion. And so I think Nene is just really over it. In addition to her going through all of the drama that she went through on the show with Roachgate, she has to watch all of this again. She has to watch Kim constantly drag her name through the dirt, and now she's just over it to the point where she is going to get in Kim's face and settle everything. So that's the end, and they left us with a little cliffhanger. So next time on Real Housewives of Atlanta, we have part 3 of the reunion. Hopefully it is the final part of the reunion, but knowing Bravo, it's not. Kim continues talking about somebody's jealous of her. Who is jealous of Kim Zolciak? All of the women up there on that stage look better than her, and Kim keeps getting lip injections so she can look like a black girl in the lip area, so it looks like she's the jealous one. Moving on, Tyrone comes up. That'll be interesting. Kim and Kandi being lesbians. We forgot about that whole situation. Kandi, if you remember, Kim said something about Kandi trying to eat her box. So I forgot about that situation, so we'll get into that some more. Moving on, they talk about Kim having so many ailments and being handicapped. And then Kim leaves, thank you very much. Exit stage left, okay? But thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, do not forget that I will be doing reviews for some other shows this week. I just got through doing my review for Iyanla Fix My Life, the Hazel E episode. Also this week I will be reviewing The Last OG and Braxton Family Values, so stay tuned for that. Don't forget to hit that bell so you can be notified when those videos come out. Thank you so much again for watching, and peace out, home slice.